Hey guys, it's Tyler from the Line Change coming at you with our recap video of Canucks versus Utah. Um, Another loss for the Canucks, back-to-back losses now coming out of the Four Nations break. This is now 4 points they've flushed down the toilet, coming out of the break. I mentioned in our video the other day that this kind of was a must-win for the Canucks. This was an important game. They needed to win if they wanted to stave off Utah. And as of this recording, and with Calgary winning tonight, Canucks are out of a playoff spot. Calgary won. Now, they leapfrogged the Canucks ahead into that second wild card spot. Canucks are only 1 point behind, but now Utah is only 4 points behind them in the wild card. And then Anaheim, whom they play on Thursday, who also won tonight, or rather, they gained a point. They didn't win, but they gained a point. Now, Anaheim is only 6 back of the Canucks for the wild card. So let's break down this game, starting with that first period. The Canucks didn't register a shot on goal within the first 5 minutes. How many times have we said that now so far this season? It's become a reoccurring thing. And it's frustrating. I imagine it's frustrating for the coach, Tocchet. He's probably banging his head against the wall. How many times is this going to happen? And it needs to stop. They need to figure it out and, remove this problem. The Canucks cannot generate offense right now. And they haven't since the start of the year. They haven't scored. The offense has been minor, and you can't win hockey games that way. You just can't. You can't ask your goaltender to go out there and get shutout after shutout after shutout and only able to score one goal. You just can't. And you can't go deep in the playoffs with that either. You just can't. I want to mention that Tyler Myers interference call. I know we talked a lot about Myers in our previous video. I didn't necessarily defend him, with that bad play that he made that led to not one, but too many men on the ice penalties. But I did not like that interference call on him in the first period. I thought it was soft. I thought Utah kind of got away with one there. So yeah, I thought it was a soft call. When you're interfering with somebody, from what I know of the ruling for interference is, if you impede a player who hasn't, keyword there, hasn't recently touched the puck, and, the person who he interfered with had recently, touched the puck. I also noticed during the Canucks' first power play that they had, they iced the puck. You can't do that. That was a bad move on the Canucks' part. That can't happen. You can't ice the puck when you're on the power play because that's valuable time you have to try and generate a scoring chance. And you go and ice the puck, it just can't happen. Cannot happen at all. For the second game in a row now, the Canucks get 3 penalties in the first period. I remember hearing Rick Tocchet mentioning in his postgame that that can't happen. And lo and behold, it happens for the second straight game. So the Canucks need to be better at that. These penalties are costly, and you just can't be drawing or getting 3 penalties in a single period. You just can't. Prior to the Utah power play goal in the third, the Canucks had killed off 14 straight power plays, which is great. That shows their penalty kill is, at least before that power play goal, was doing great. They had killed off 14 straight, which is, I would say, a positive. One of probably the few positives for the Canucks right now was that their penalty kill had been doing very well. They were killing penalties, but at the same time, to prevent that, you need to not be getting penalties called on you. That's an even better thing to do than killing off those penalties, because if you don't get those calls, if you're not getting penalties, you don't have to worry about killing them off. So Utah was 0 for 3 on the power play in the first on those 3 penalties, much like Vegas was last night. Utah ended up out shooting the Canucks 11-4 in the period. So the Canucks only had 4 shots in the first period, which, how many times have we heard that now, right? Like, we're hearing it too much, and it's so frustrating to see them not be able to generate offense in that first period. Here's a question. When was the last time the Canucks scored in the first period? It's been a while, So there's no scoring in the first period. So in the second period, the Canucks, yet another positive, score first once again. So like I mentioned in the video yesterday, they've managed to, at least for now, flip that narrative and are now scoring first. Yesterday, they had scored, they had scored first 8 out of their last 9. Now it is 9 out of their last 10. And Jake DeBrusk scores his 21st of the season. So once again, Jake DeBrusk puts the Canucks on the board, back-to-back games now. He's now at 301 career points. This goal was also on the power play, so that's great to see. And it was assisted by Elias Pettersson. So, yay, PD is alive. He's not dead. He's not the invisible man anymore, at least for, this game. So yeah, assisted by PD, Jake DeBrusk now has a career high 9 power play goals. So big ups to Jake on that. He's set a career high in power play goals. He now has a chance to also set career high in goals. His career high is 27. He's at 21 now. And I think, I mentioned in our previous video, I think he has a good chance to hit 30. I mean, if he keeps scoring, coming out of this break, he can do it. I truly believe he can do it. Obviously, the Canucks couldn't keep that momentum. They had built up some momentum with that Jake DeBrusk goal. They couldn't keep the momentum and gain even more as they allowed Utah to tie the game merely minutes later, which was similar to last night's game against Vegas. The Canucks scored, and then not much later, Vegas scored. So the same thing happens in this game. Logan Cooley scores his 16th of the season, assisted by Marina Keller. And once again, the Canucks get outshot 11-4 in the second period. So now, 2 periods in, Canucks have 8 shots. Like, how many times do we need to say, that this is a problem and it needs to be fixed? What the fix is for that problem, I don't know. Is it a mental thing? Is it a confidence thing? I don't know. Or is it like Rick Tocchet hockey, like the coach's style? I'm not sure, but I know Tocchet has harped on the team not being able to get the puck on the net, and it needs to be addressed, and they need to turn this around soon, or else they may not, make the playoffs. As I mentioned, as of right now, they're outside of the playoffs. They're outside looking in, and if they keep, not able to generate offense, it's going to bite them in the butt. You could definitely tell in the second period that fatigue was starting to kick in for both teams, as both were playing on back-to-backs. It wasn't just the Canucks. Utah played in LA the other night. They lost 5-3. But yeah, you could definitely tell that fatigue was starting to kick in for both teams. And, when it comes to the lack of offense and the lack of shots, you can't really use, them playing on a back-to-back as an excuse when the other team that's also playing on a back-to-back puts up, over 20 shots over 2 periods. You can't use that excuse for the Canucks. Going into the third period, there was a great defensive play by Derek Forbort. I thought Utah had a great chance, and Forbort was able to get back and break it up. So kudos to Forbort on that, individual play. I thought that was great. I also noticed while the Canucks were on a power play, PD was, moving the puck around, passing it around. He had a chance to shoot, but he elected to pass. And I don't know how many times I have to mention, PD's apparent pass first mentality. It's absolutely drives me nuts when I see PD do that. Like it looks like he's going to shoot, and then he quickly passes it off. It's like, Petey, shoot the darn puck. We know you can do it. Shoot it. Just shoot it on net, and then see if there's a bounce. If there's a bounce and a rebound, maybe we can try and bury it. But I absolutely hate that Petey has this pass first mentality. I understand he's trying to be like a playmaker, but it's like, you can be a playmaker and still shoot. So shoot the damn puck. Like, come on. Moving over to Silovs, I thought he played a great game. I feel as though he looked a lot better than he did earlier this season. He looked confident, considering the last time he played was in November. Keep in mind, Silovs hasn't suited up for the Canucks since November. He hasn't played a game since technically last year, if you want to call it that. So it's been several months since he played in the NHL, and I thought he looked fantastic. I thought he really stood on his head. In this game, he made some big saves. One in particular that was deflected, which you heard on the broadcast, Shorty mentioning how incredible of a save that was. Also, Petey had a great chance, had a mini breakaway, and he missed the net. So obviously, Petey wants that one back. He completely roofed it, missed the net. I thought that was a great chance for Petey. Seeing him have that breakaway was great, and it was a great pass from Hronek. Obviously missing the net. Also, I did notice after that missed chance, you saw the frustration on Petey's face when he went back to the bench. He kind of slammed the door, and you could see him clearly cursing something and frustrated, which begs the question, this is a little funny too. We saw that in the past from JT Miller. And, with the rift between Miller and Petey, did a little bit of JT rub off on Petey? As I don't think I've ever really seen Petey act that way. We've seen him, look to the sky and just look so disheartened. I don't think I've ever seen him look pissed off. And that's what I saw when they had that shot of him on the bench after that missed chance. So moving on later into the third period, we mentioned Derek Forbort earlier and how he had made that great defensive play. Well, then he goes and takes a bad penalty. So, which in turn led to the winning goal. Utah ended up scoring. Dylan Gunther scored his first of the season on the power play, assisted by Schmaltz and Keller. And on that note, Silovs had no chance on that goal. It was a deflection. He absolutely had no chance. So you can't blame Silovs for that. It was a great shot or pass. Well, I guess it was like a pass / shot. A lot of people thought Schmaltz was going to shoot, but it looked like he saw Gunther there, and he just simply passed it, and it deflected off Gunther's stick and into the net. So yeah, that was the final score, a 2-1 in favor of Utah. Once again, like we keep mentioning, Utah outshoots the Canucks 10-7 in the third period. Final shots were 23-15. So in this game, the Canucks couldn't get more than double digits in shots in a single period. As we mentioned before, it's a problem. And it's something that they really need to look at. And they need to figure out why this is happening and what's wrong. Because if they don't figure this out quick, they're not going to be getting any points. They're not going to be getting any wins. And they're going to drop lower and lower in the wild card. And it could lead to Utah catching them. It could lead to Anaheim, of all teams, catching them. But they're not generating enough offense at all, as we mentioned. I mentioned as well, another missed opportunity, losing out on now 4 points. They missed out on 2 last night. They missed out on another 2. She finished with 30 saves. Obviously, he was the busier of the 2 goalies. And yeah, just another loss for the Canucks. Another disheartening loss. And it begs the question now, does this team rely too heavily on Quinn Hughes when it comes to generating offense? Do they, especially with, the power play? I also feel as though the Canucks look a little lost without Quinn Hughes on the ice, especially when they're on the power play. They just cycle the puck, back and forth. They just pass it around, and it seems like they don't know what to do with it somewhat. And of course, with Hughes, this is now his 6th game in a row that he's missed. He's missed a total of 10 games since Christmas. So that's not good for Hughes. We'll hear later on in the week on whether or not he could play on Wednesday, as the Canucks have a few days off before they play against LA on Wednesday and then play in Anaheim on Thursday. So another set of back-to-backs. And also the question is, who starts in LA and who starts in Anaheim? Do they go with Lankinen against LA? No, LA between LA and Anaheim. LA is the better team. Would you be confident with having Lankinen start the harder game of the two teams and then let Seelovs have Anaheim? Or would you flip it and have Seelovs play LA and then Lankinen play Anaheim? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this recap video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you're not subscribed, feel free to smash that subscribe button. You really help out the channel. And, if you want to stay up to date on all Canucks news and content from the line change, click that notification bell and you will be notified anytime we upload any new content. And also, I'm going to do a little bit of a plug for the Canucks for Kids Fund. I was actually talking to somebody the other day, and yeah, it's just a really great charity. I believe they have a function coming up next month that I can't exactly remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but they have an event coming up. They're going to try and raise a bunch of money for Canucks for Kids. It's a great charity and is for a good cause. There's that. That's going to do it for this video. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video.